Okay, so now we'll hear from another speaker who is in the room. Yeah, and we are happy that USAID is working with AHIN in the Digital Health Planning National Health Systems discussion. And to share more about this is Merrick Schaefer, the Senior Digital Health Advisor of USAID. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Hello, how is everyone? I'm very honored to be here. And I'm going to be talking about a course that I think most of you here have probably already taken. But I was asked to both provide a little background around it and a little bit about what we're thinking about to go forward. And I have some questions for all of you here as well around what directions we should take. So I'm here today to talk about the Digital Health Planning National Systems course that we developed with WHO and the ITU. About 5 years ago, we noticed that there were a lot of toolkits and maturity models and various guidelines and frameworks coming out. And we were hearing from Ministry of Health, we were hearing from implementing, we were hearing from ministries of ICT, help us make sense of this. There are so many tools. How do we know which ones to use when? How do we organize all of the fantastic information that we have developed into a way that can actually be applied in an actionable, progressive manner? So the WHO convened a large group of subject matter experts together to basically try to synthesize the information that had been created into a coherent framework. And that led to a workshop that was held in Lesotho that had 10 countries from sub-Saharan Africa attend, in which we tried, for the first time, we did 14 days of training, full long days, and we tried to cover everything that ever had been taught about for digital health. And it was a lot, and it was sort of exhausting, but it was a good attempt to bring together all of the various knowledge that had been created and try to make sense of it. So then we spent 2 years organizing that information, reaching out to subject matter experts around the world, doing peer review and validation of that content. We pulled it together into a course structure, for those of you who have taken it, that is but focused around some fundamentals, then shifts into a national planning process, and sort of ends with a look to the future. We were about to deliver the course for the first time live in March of 2020. I was about to get on an airplane, and 3 days before I was supposed to get on an airplane, all travel stopped everywhere. And we said, oh no, we just spent all of this time with all of these experts working together to make this course, and now we can't deliver it. So we said, what if we could turn it into a virtual course? And what was really exciting about that was it went from each training we would deliver would be $100,000 when you factor in flying people in from all over, to we could deliver each training for, say, $25,000 or $30,000 for a larger set of people. But the question was, could we keep the quality of the content, and could we make it actually an engaging and interactive experience? And so we put a lot more work into the next year of working on activities and trying to structure it in a way that would be engaging and let the course participants actually apply what they learned in the context of doing the work. We ended up with 2 modality delivery. So we ended the blended, which all of the lectures are at your pace. So those of you who have taken it have probably seen, I introduced some of the lectures, but then students can work through it at their own pace, but the activities are still done live in a group, online, virtually. And we also have one in which the course itself is delivered live in a lecture on Zoom, and then the activities are done as a group. And so we've been experimenting with these 2 approaches across the world. We now have over 250 graduates who have completed the full course and gotten certification. And we currently have 400 students taking it right now. And I know that many of you in this room actually are in that cohort. We've been trying to expand the footprint of this material. All of it is Creative Commons, open source, and peer reviewed. But what we've really been trying to do is get it out for other audiences. So first, we've been delivering it inside USAID for USAID internal trainings. We've been working with DICE, who's going to present next, to deliver to various ministries all over the world. We've been working with PAHO in the Latin American region, in Rekinsas, and we've been working, obviously, with AHIN. We're quite excited to have the increased voices being able to take the material and use it and customize it, hopefully, for their own regions. So what does the course include? The goal is to really lay out that planning process. That's what we're trying to lay out. And we know that it's every country is at different phases of where they're at, and many countries have very advanced areas, and then other areas of the health system which might be weaker within the same country. And so mostly we're just trying to lay out the theory of how it can go together, and then have technical concepts, definitions, and methods that can be applied for wherever you're at. The real goal that we were trying to design this for was the mid-level ministry officials who do the work. So we know that is actually probably the highest leverage point we can have of the people who are actually doing the work on a day-to-day basis. And then the secondary goal is other sorts of entities that would be investing, whether they're private sector or bilateral investors or multilateral investors who are making planning decisions around health that would be partnering with ministries. We wanted to be able to enable all the students to be on the same technical footing, because one of the challenges with having 150 different frameworks and tools and maturity models is that we'll use the same language to talk about different things, or we're using different language to talk about the same thing. So one of the main goals was to try to come up with a common set of terms and concepts. So when I said interoperability, you were thinking the same thing that I was thinking. We also wanted to give managers a sense of what work needs to be done, and at what quality it needs to be done at for the actual planning process. And then we wanted to guide people through all the various toolkits, because so many of them are really fantastic resources, but knowing when to apply them was the goal. And then one of the trickiest things was understanding balances and trade-offs, because no one has access to an unlimited budget. And so it's all about trying to figure out how do we use the resources we have to create the largest impact for our specific needs. There are 6 course objectives. I'm not going to go into them now. I think many of you know them, but if you'd like to get a copy of the presentation and look through them, or take the training, you're welcome to dig into that deeper. As I mentioned, the course is designed in this kind of structure. We start with a health systems perspective, we move into the planning process, then we look to the future. And one of the questions we had was, how do we tie all of these disparate conversations together? A conversation about setting up a governance structure at the national level is very different from implementing a program in a facility. So when we were trying to figure out how do we tie things together, we decided to have a single case study that we would use throughout every module of the course, and use that to connect all the different elements together. So we used an immunization case study that is used in every single country on the planet. That format is basically the same. And we looked at it from the perspective of governance. We looked at it from the perspective of enterprise architecture. We looked at it from the perspective of implementation and costing, so that there be a common frame of reference throughout the course. We tried to develop really engaging activities that were based upon what ministries actually were needing to do. So we knew that most countries already have national digital health strategies. It might be that it's just something that was just launched, or it might be something that ended a year ago, but we knew that reviewing those strategies was probably a critical skill, and to assess what the gaps are to the theme of the conference, and where to go next. So we developed an activity where you review an existing strategy. We, of course, explored maturity modeling, the subject of the day, and taught a basic methodology of how to actually do it, which I guess can be applied to any of the various maturity models out there. And then, of course, for those of you who have gotten to do it, we actually developed some scenario playing games that you can use that simulate what it's like to try to run and manage a national architecture for a country. So what happens with this? Was it a good investment? Should we have spent our time doing it? We've been doing pre and post surveys with every training to create a baseline of what people feel like they understand going into it and what they feel like they learn when they go out of it. We also did an evaluation of learners 6 months after they took the course or longer to see, did they actually apply the information? Was it actually useful? So we have both the sense of in the moment, did they think it was going to be useful? And then we went back and checked later. And what we found was that most of the participants of the course, at least half of the material was new, which is quite good. And it's actually 69% of the material was half was new or more. We also found that the majority of the course material was found to be relevant, either extremely relevant or partially relevant to people's day-to-day jobs. So it seemed like the material itself from the surveys showed that it was the right material and it was going to be used. From our evaluation, we used an educational framework called Bloom's taxonomy, which looks at how much can someone use material that they're taught. The goal of this course was to get people to understand the material. We wanted to get to the bottom of this pyramid. We thought maybe we would find some instances of people applying the material. But when we did the actual evaluation, we found instance after instance after instance of people analyzing, evaluating, and even creating based upon the course material. And so it far exceeded our own goals in terms of the application of the material to people's day-to-day jobs. We found there to be 3 modalities that the students took on after the training. Some of them took the material and started training other people within their ministries of health around parts of the course, or even sometimes all of the course. We found many participants had taken a very technical consulting role. They took on one of those type of activities like reworking the national strategy, working through an enterprise architecture process and applying it. But probably most importantly, we found a lot of the students told stories of advocating to senior managers, advocating to peer managers, advocating to donors around coming together with a more cohesive plan vision for their countries. So by all of these standards, these were the types of outcomes we were really looking forward to. So what's next? So one of the questions is, how do we customize the content for each region? How much customization should we do? I mean, as we're talking about, it seems today, how many variants of the same course should we have? There are specific needs that different countries have. Should we have a variation of this course for every region, for every country? Should we stay with a common set of knowledge? This is the kind of things I would love to discuss with you this week as we think about what to do next. But we do want to shift to a model where we are having the course delivered in the region by regional experts. So we're having a training of trainers ideation workshop, and then probably next year we'll actually be doing a series of training of trainers to make sure that every region, whether it's the Western Pacific, whether it's CRO, whether it's PAHO, all have the ability to deliver this course material themselves in the form and the languages that they want to do it in. The other issue that is really a big question for me and something I'm very excited about is how do we better align funding with activities that are driven from the planning processes that the course talks through? So can we actually create pools of financing that are available for countries that take the course and then want to do a maturity model or want to do a new digital health strategy or want to actually plan out a full enterprise architecture? And then can we create the funding linkages between those processes and actually having the financing to implement those projects? This is something we've seen in the PAHO region between PAHO and the Inter-American Development Bank. So it is definitely something that can be done. We've been talking to Global Fund. We've been talking inside at USAID to explore how tightly coupled can we make these? Can we give our ministry counterparts the planning tools, help them through the planning process, and then create financing windows available to bring those actual programs to life? So that's, to me, like the biggest vision of where I would like to go, and I'd love to discuss that with people throughout the next few days. Thank you very much. Happy to have questions or comments.
Thank you, Merrick. Very interesting. So from a professor of even informatics for young medical students, I find it's interesting. And there's quite a need, especially because I'm a community doctor, and definitely local governments also who want to get into digital transformation. Actually, there's a very big need for that. I am seeing a lot of people who have questions. So we will first hear from Jai or
I think it was very helpful. In fact, like as alumni of the course, myself, Dr. Fazila, and then Aliyah from the Department of Health Philippines here. So being the alumni of the course, like we know the value of the course has added to our work. And then we do. I'm sure that you will have lots of questions. But before that, like we would like to thank you for the support that made this course right now being delivered by AHIN for 100 participants from the region, both the WHO regions of Sierra and Western Pacific, and then from 13 countries. And thank you very much. We
just like to wish thank you. And our 100 cohort right now is from 12 countries. So we also hope that we can create a community or alumni, and maybe they, for example, maybe Wipro or Sierra can use them in evaluating or validating any framework or documentation.
I love that idea. And I think that I would love the community of practice or the alumni cohort to be global. You know, like why not have all of the students who have taken it around the world have the ability to communicate and engage going forward?
So thank you very much. So your face is very much like as I'm always looking to in class and every day. So right now, so now I can see you face to face. So I've got lot of questions on that. So this is really very good opportunity for Nepal, and thank you for AHIN. That's they have given us, and this year we have got overwhelming, almost 115 participants, and it's really very hard to filter us.
Oh,
So I'm also taking this course, and it's really very interesting and learning a lot of things. And especially I'm working in especially on the policy. This is really very helping us to make a escape or planning and these things. So the course is really very structured. I'm really very impressed with the whole course style. And still there's something that is lacking, which I am feeling in case of our country. Like as a let's do more case, like as a use case. Let's go for the use case, because in IBRI we have got a group discussion that's really happening. Although it is a virtual, it looks like we are face to face, because we have a country group we are working, and still time is very much lacking. We need to more time. So just only 1 hour, like as a 30 minutes, is quite lower when we are doing the group, especially for the case. So let's add, like as a which you have given in the example as a Fatima in the
Zainab.
yeah in immunization. Let's go more such type of case, then it will help us to understand our country use cases. So that's my
I like that suggestion. I think that's excellent.
I think from the community of participants, I think it's our responsibility also to contribute cases and use cases and experiences to the course and build it up. And then I think we may have some more questions. Solan. Okay.
Hi, good morning, Merrick. Nice to
Good
see
morning.
you here.
Thank
So I'm Pei from Wireless Access for Health. We primarily work with local governments here in the Philippines, capacitating them in the field of digital health. For your next step, I was wondering if you could consider customizing the course for a digital health, local health system planning. I mean, majority of the countries in this region, for example, Philippines, Indonesia, the primary care is decentralized.
Yeah.
So of course the ministries would benefit, and the departments, but it would also be really beneficial if we could help and guide in the planning our provincial health officers and city health officers as mandated by our own universal healthcare law. Thank you.
I think one last question. I think it goes to Solan from PFA Foundation, our partner.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. I'm Solène Barbe from the Fondation Pierre Fabre, and I have two very pragmatic questions. Does the course exist in other languages, and especially in French?
It does.
And how much it costs by students, please?
Yeah, so it currently exists in French in its completion. We've delivered it in West Africa, and it's being translated right now into Spanish and Portuguese. So by the end of this year, we'll have it in English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese, and we are definitely open to translating it into other languages, Russian, Arabic, others that are needed.
Actually, this is a comment rather than the question and the suggestion from the one who am practicing informatics and digital health for 20 more years, and all the tools we have exposed, and all the way that the approach that we would like to strengthening our community about the digital health has been used, and I think this is a good. I mean the new innovation of pushing all integrated all that tool and knowledge into another. I'm myself teaching this in the university, but I found that with the word of mouth from our Fazila, Jai, and other colleagues, that we should take this course, and I'm the one that taking it. I don't know at the end how it's going, but at least 2 or 3 modules. I think this is the good one. For the recommendation is that as you see that we identify as a community that not just the people and program management and workforce that important to strengthening, and the cost doing good job for that. But we still have a lot of gaps on that, the governance, the architecture, the standard and interoperability. USAID working also the funder and working with another funders. And is it, I like your idea that how we make it the real thing.
Yes.
You know, the make not just strengthening and no project. One of our colleagues from Philippines that why it's customized to the country. That is another one, and another activity that I think USAID should be USAID should be consider about it how to fill the gap
Yes.
rather than the strengthening workforce. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
I think we have run out of time. Just one thing that I think we see some question coming up in the chat. One question, Merrick, is like, can anyone enroll on a personal capacity? And then because getting into this cohort, takes a lot of time, and then there are very few. But maybe I would answer this. Maybe we can correct if it is not. Maybe they can enroll to the non-certified version, which is available in the Exchange website, and then take the course on their own, right? Am I right?
Yeah, so there is a standalone version with no live interaction that was developed by Last Mile Health with Last Mile Health's funding, but it's never been tested. We've never tested the learning outcomes from it, but it does exist, and it's a lot of the same content. And I believe we're translating that as well. But we do host an open enrollment that anyone in the world can take at least once a year. It's actually happening it's one of the courses that's happening right now. So we would host probably more if there's need and desire for that. But I think the stronger model would be partnering more with like AHEN or Requiencias or the other networks and having them deliver it multiple times a year in their own regions to help manage the recruitment. But I'm open to any of the ideas. Should it be a big global class? Should it be regional classes? Happy to continue to talk about that over the next day or two.
Thank you, Merrick.
Thank you, Merrick and USAID for this opportunity. Thank you again.